Most of us didn't start a business so we could spend our days sending cold emails, following up with leads, moving people through spreadsheets, posting on LinkedIn. But somehow that is what it has come to mean if you're a founder or small business. You're the founder, you're the marketer, you're the janitor, you're so much more. I hate to say it, but if you're not using marketing automation the right way, or at all, hello, Katrina, you're probably doing way more than you need to do just to keep growth alive. Welcome to Manage Chaos Podcast, where we give you the startup business rundown in less time than it takes for you to get to work. I'm Katrina Purcell.
And I'm Rachel Anderson.
And today we're going to break down scale without burnout through marketing automation. Whether you're totally new to automation or you've tried a few tools but felt really overwhelmed, this episode is definitely for you. Rachel, I feel very seen.
Yes, you should. I mean, to be honest, like our marketing automation has been around for years,
right?
Forever. But we haven't called it that traditionally. We just call it other things. And in the marketing sector, at least, I didn't really know it was an official title of something until way too recently. I mean, I'll give myself credit, years ago, but I'm not going to tell you how many, because that's the part where I was like, because I just assumed that's how marketing functioned, but it's not. And definitely I've experienced a lot of businesses where they're just like, marketing is a onesie twosie thing. You just got to figure it out.
I think it's tricky too, because when you're first starting out, you're like, oh, I don't want to spend any money on anything, right? And so your inkling is to just do things yourself, or just, get a process before you automate it. And then you just get stuck in this cycle of never actually getting to the next level. But let's walk a step back. What exactly is marketing automation, and how does it go beyond just, scheduling emails or scheduling posts on LinkedIn?
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn is a rabbit hole, man. I too can get there fast.
We should do an episode called LinkedIn Anonymous, because anyway, moving on.
I like it already. I'm in. So marketing automation really refers to how you use the tools that you have. So if you use software to automate repetitive tasks, and that could be, like you mentioned, email campaigns, or maybe it's the way that you nurture leads. It could be segmenting your customers. It could be what we call retargeting, even reporting. All these things can pretty much be a repetitive task that's able to be automated so that businesses can really do the purest of marketing, which is the right message to the right person at the right time. As business leaders, that can be critical for us so that we can do other things that take our zone of genius, whether that's sales or visioning or the admin part of running a business, whatever that niche is for you that you're like, this is my best thing. Marketing automation can really help you to relieve some of that. So it's not just scheduling. It's not just setting things up so that they auto send or auto do the thing. True marketing automation is about behavior triggered actions. So that's something where if someone does X, then Y automatically happens. It could be a personalization. So, hey, so-and-so, thanks for getting my email newsletter. Well, that so-and-so is an automation based on content you've put in that generates, right? Personalization, excuse me. It's an automated personalization. And then there's other things like lead scoring, which is really big on the sales front, where you assign certain values, numbers to actions that people take. And when they hit a certain number of combined scores, it triggers another action, or even cross-departmental or cross-channel orchestration. So there's lots of different kinds of marketers, lots of different kinds of tasks. And when one team does A, then it triggers it for the next team to do B. And so all of these things kind of go under that umbrella of marketing automation so that it frees up some of the bandwidth you have on a day-to-day basis by taking a step back and putting all of that together over a course of, one day, weeks, months, or whatever, but then that's good for a long term. And AI definitely is going to come into play in this conversation. It has made everything incredibly more efficient at doing these things that we've already been doing for a really long time. But recently I saw this and I thought this was really interesting. Salesforce put out a report that said 67% of marketing leaders use marketing automation platforms of some kind. And because of that, 7% of those that use them see an increase in conversions. So what does that mean? That basically means 70+% of all people that use marketing automation see more customers.
Right.
So it's important.
Interesting. It is important for sure. I think it's interesting too to think about it less from the scheduling standpoint and more from the action is taken, another action happens. I was doing some comparative analysis with one of my clients, and we were trying to get some information about, some of our, we don't like to use the word competitors, but we were looking at some folks, and there was a thing where you could get their sales deck, and we thought, great. And so we put in our information, and then guess what? Their automation didn't work. It never got sent to us. And so we were like, but you can't really provide that feedback when you're looking for comparative analysis. So hopefully they know their automation is broken, but their process seemed very slick and very smooth until it didn't work. So why does this matter for small businesses or startups that are looking to grow, who have maybe limited time, maybe they don't even have a marketing team or even a marketing person, right? Why is this a big deal for them?
So the bottom line is that it's going to increase sales and it's going to reduce your overhead. That's like the shortest version of the why. But if we expand that out a little bit, we can see things like scale. So marketing automation and getting certain kinds of tasks automated can really help your company scale its efforts without adding people to do them. I like to think of it as, the things that we automate allows room for us to hire people who can innovate. And I think that that's a much more valuable skill, right? Let's let somebody else send those emails, but somebody else craft incredible campaigns that really connect to the emotion or the problems that somebody is facing. And the other thing is that there's a lot of consistency that can be born out of marketing automation. And consistency is nice, but really that consistency translates into trust for the customer. So just like your example, it's so perfect. Like you expected this automation that this company had to work. And even when it's in that small way where the company says, hey, if you give me your email, I'll give you this other thing, that trust is gradually broken into a deeper kind of crevice with each strike against you that isn't really working, right? So if you had somebody manually doing this, then it might be not minutes like they expect you to get an email, but days before they get some sort of return. And by then there's already an unspoken understanding that's been established for that person, whether it's right or wrong, that you aren't going to do the thing that they expected you to do. So consistency can really mean trust in these instances.
Have you ever gotten one of those things where it's supposed to be personalized, but it's not your name?
Yes.
Where it either has like question marks or it has like someone else's name and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. In fact, funny enough that you say that, just this morning, I got something that said Rachel Levitt. And I was like, that's not me. I was like, good try though. Yeah, 100%. Which is, it is the humor, I guess, behind bots doing their best.
I think because we have an expectation that some of this is automated, right? And so we almost do give grace to people when that happens. We're like, oh, okay, their automation didn't work, or it stumbled on my name, or that was hard.
Yeah.
I've seen a few people send like apology emails afterwards, which I think are really cute, where they kind of make fun of themselves for making the mistake. But it is a good way to kind of still maintain that trust and also almost like a transparency with your customer that I am using automation, because let's face it, who has time to send all these emails personalized to everyone?
Right, exactly. And I think that that's a really good next step into kind of the final big level like benefit, which is customer retention. Automation should not help you make your customers into numbers. It should help you connect with your customer authentically and more consistently, right? Kind of going back to that consistency. And so this is a way for you to be able to nurture that relationship in, again, an authentic way, not in just a like, we're just going to send 1,000 things and spam you every day so you never forget that we're here kind of way. But like it should help you actually hold on to customers over a long period of time, which is in fact the best way to grow, by not losing people that have already decided yes on you.
Exactly. So if we're just getting started, I'm taking copious notes, or we potentially want to level up, what is the best approach to marketing automation without feeling completely overwhelmed by all the things to do?
Okay, so I pretty much have 3 recommendations with some like honorable mentions.
Okay, I was going to say 3 feels doable. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so first, you should start with the buyer journey. So I highly recommend that you don't just jump in because something looks good, sounds good, your friend uses it, another competitor uses it, whatever. You need to think about what are the key moments from the moment they first embrace my brand. And that could literally mean an ad in the world, or it could mean someone recommended you and it was, a recommendation. But what's the first moment, and where through that do they touch your brand all the way through? And have that together, and then start with the key moments you're losing the most amount of people. So if it's that moment where they go to schedule a sales call and for whatever reason, 50% of the people don't convert on that button, then that might be a great moment for automation. What's there that's keeping them from actually doing the thing? Or maybe, this is a great business case example. I was talking to one person who was in charge of automating the chatbot that pops up on the websites, where it's like, boing, hi, how can I help you today?
I see you're just browsing, and it's sort of like when you used to go into a store and they'd be like, can I help you? And you'd be like, let me just shop.
Right. You're like, I literally just walked in, calm down. So he was in charge of that, and he had to get his sales team to start realizing that because people came in through the chat and they would say, I want to talk to someone, that was a live lead. And so he had to put together an automation that basically helped them trigger when someone said, I want to talk to someone, straight to someone on the sales team who would pick up a phone.
A real person.
Real person, yeah. Having an email wasn't enough. Having like a chat monitor wasn't it. Like he needed to set up that specific automation. And then they would close leads. But if they waited even half an hour to respond, that person had already moved on and found someone that would pick up the call immediately. So that's really the first thing, is understand that buyer journey and identify where the biggest pitfalls are. The second is that you should keep it as simple as possible at first. Every single thing you introduce is a potential point of failure. So you want to make sure that you don't spread so far so fast that you can't figure out what's working and what's not working, and that you don't spread your own bandwidth so far that you can't figure out how to update, manage, keep up with what the automation does. Because let's be honest, with AIs and all the things, people now are starting to think that we can process and perform at the same rate that AI can. And that's impossible. So when you first start doing things, please, I beg you, go slowly. You'll get there, but choose the things you think will make the biggest impact and work from things that are already done, like templates or pre-built workflows. Don't do it all from scratch. Now, I do have to put a little caveat on that with, like, if you are building an AI from scratch, that might be worth it because there's data privacy concerns and all these other things. So we're just going to throw that to the side for a moment. But that's not traditionally been part of the AI, or not the marketing automation conversation as much. So I think we'll see really big strides in the next 6 months, a year on what that looks like from privacy and data concerns. And then the third thing is really you want to segment as early as possible. Segment just means you're going to put labels in your systems to identify certain really specific behaviors or triggers or characteristics of your audience so that you can get as specific as possible. For example, a great automation could be when people who have first names with the letter R go into the Google bots and say, coffee, I send her a bag of coffee immediately, or I door drop a latte, right? Like, you want to be as specific as possible so that your automations can do their best kind of work, which is specific. So those are the three things that I would really say for just getting started. You're going to look at your journey. You're going to keep it simple and not go crazy. And then you're going to make sure that you give people the right kind of specificity on labels so that you can put together the right kind of funnels or interests or behaviors.
Rachel's trying to manifest a coffee sponsor for Managed Chaos podcast.
Always.
So
Always.
I actually do not drink coffee, but Rachel is a big coffee, I would call it connoisseur. And she is definitely trying to manifest a coffee brand to sponsor us.
I love it. If I could manifest an entire in-house roastery, I would do that as well.
You might have to move to Seattle or somewhere.
No, there are plenty of incredible coffee and roasteries right here in my neighborhood. So shout out local. Let's get it together. My house is open for business. Now, let me give you just my two honorable mentions, which is that, first of all, some best practices are to not set it and forget it, quote unquote. Definitely make a plan to review it and optimize it. Otherwise, all your efforts will be for naught. You will not do it right on the first time. So make sure that that's part of your plan. And then make sure to also consider A/B testing. Because again, on your first go round, you're not going to probably have it right. So if you have two different versions of the same thing, and you put them both into the world and you let them kind of compete against each other for which one does better, it'll help refine your decisions much more quickly than if you send one out and then over time you send another one out and then you compare at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other honorable mention that I'm going to say is that AI has to be part of the conversation now. And so you want to make sure that you're using the right kind of AI at the right kind of moments to automate, and you want them also to do their best work. So having, for example, ChatGPT look at some of your workflows or email copy, or maybe it's a nurture sequence, which is just like a series of things that you want to use to get your potential customers to become customers. They can do that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's more kinds of automation. It's just a more sophisticated way to think through data and get those automations. And then there's also AI tools that now can basically help you interpret data and do decision making. And those could be helpful too, but you definitely need to look at the ethics and privacy and concerns of those as you're using them for your data. Otherwise, you could be compromised in really big ways. And that could honestly be a whole separate podcast. But that's my like honorable mentions is like, duh, AI, but also caution.
So the biggest thing that it seems that we talked about throughout the whole episode is also data, right? It's understanding what that journey looks like and then co-creating from that journey. Touch points need to happen, or understanding where people are dropping off and then applying different things to those areas where they're dropping off. So the most important thing is understanding what that journey looks like and then kind of going from there. I'm going to call this our couch to 5K version of marketing automation.
I love that.
So this is, it's not a marathon. It's just a 5K. You can handle it. And starting small, right? Like you just have to start. So that is a wrap on this episode of Managed Chaos Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow and subscribe on YouTube, helping us hit our goal of 5,000 followers. We are last check almost to 60 followers, so we are quite a bit away from our goal. So please help us make that. You can also follow or subscribe on Spotify or Apple, and we will talk to you on the next episode of Managed Chaos Podcast.